What's going on, guys? It's the Unhinged Engineer here. I'm back today with episode 28 of my GT OMSCS vlog. And today I'm going to be talking about the high dynamic range assignment of computational photography. So, what was this assignment about? What do we have to do? Some of the other things going on in the course. Yeah, it's going to be a short and sweet episode, just kind of standard what we're used to. And if you've been following along, then here we go. So, what is the HDR assignment? Well, HDR stands for high dynamic range. And effectively, the idea is if you take a bunch of images of the same scene at different exposures, not only is the brightness of certain regions going to be different, but when you hit that saturation point, either too high or too low, so things are too bright that they're blown out, or too low that the shadows just take over and it's completely black, you're losing some like visual information, some visual detail, because everything just gets abstracted to 0 or 1, right? And so what you do is you take a bunch of images of the same scene at different exposures, and then you can fuse the visual information from all of those into one image that takes into account the entire dynamic range, the range of brightnesses from the range of exposure times. And you get all the visual information for the price of one image. So there's different, parts of that, like fitting to a response curve, histogram equalization, some other parts of the algorithm. But effectively, that's what we're tasked with doing, is kind of taking information from all these different images at different exposure times, same scene, different exposure times, and fusing them into one that includes the info from all of them. And it's really interesting, like if you look at the sample images they give you and then kind of the final one that you create, like you really can tell that there's certain things included in some of the low end of the exposure time images versus the high. And in your final one, if you did it right, all of that should be included in it at once. And so, yeah, this is very much a standard assignment where we're given a bunch of helper functions that mainly go through the steps of, equalization, color enhancement, different things, generating that response curve, etc. Like the different steps of one implementation of this general algorithm provided to us in a paper. And yeah, you have to go through, fill out all those helper functions and make sure it works. So yeah, I did that over the course of last week. Assignment didn't really take me too long. I've done a few days early, which is definitely a refreshing change from the project that took a lot. So I think they're kind of going easy on us for like a week, but I can tell that's going to change very soon because now we're getting into the video processing section of this assignment, which something tells me it's going to be a little bit tougher. And then, ultimately after that, we'll get to the second project, which as far as I can tell, the second project, we're going to have to like pick something to implement. Like they give us a couple of sample algorithms that utilize a bunch of different things from the course. So I don't know if that's like our assortment of final projects that we can pick between, or they're just examples and we have to come up with our own. But yeah, I know it's kind of a choose your own adventure style assignment, at least from what I could tell from reading past syllabi and stuff like that. So yeah, I think this is kind of a lull in the course overall, but I did enjoy the high dynamic range assignment. I mean, it was a little bit more dull than some of the other fancier, like, panoramas involve feature detection and matching, and then the object removal part with the whole constraint propagation thing was pretty complicated. So this was definitely a lot simpler, but like I said, I'm not really complaining. I think they're kind of, going easy on us before things get more complicated again. And so, yeah, I think it served its purpose really well. And just to be honest, like as someone who's kind of heard the term dynamic range thrown around a lot in work and other settings, like having to actually go through the process of accounting for variation in exposure and the physical limitations of CCDs and cameras, right? Because things just get saturated and then you can't see what's going on anymore. So having to actually account for that saturation point within an algorithm that I'm implementing myself did really drive that whole concept down really well. So, do I think that this algorithm or even genre of algorithm of fusing from different images is something I'm going to use? Probably not. But as an opportunity and an exercise to really drive home the concept of what dynamic range really means, I think it was super helpful. And for that, I'm grateful for the assignment. So yeah, that's basically what I've been up to for the last week. I guess other news going on with the course. For one, I totally whiffed on one of the peer feedbacks. We got assigned the peer feedback for the project, and in that craziness with the project, I forgot to do the one for A3, which was the panoramas assignment. So I totally had like 2 students' assignments like in my inbox, and I just completely forgot to do it. So I got a 0 on that. So not on A3, but on the peer feedback piece for A3. And now I'm caught in one of those binds with Canvas where like an assignment's not worth that much, but because all the other ones are not like put into Canvas yet, your grade is really, really low, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, that was fine. In addition to that, I did get the grades back for a few other things. I got the grade back for assignment 2, which was on pyramid blending, and assignment 3, which was on panoramas. And for both of those, I got like 50 on the report, so happy about that. Full credit, 50 out of 50. And like 47 or 48 out of 50 on the resources section, which if I recall is actually what I got on the auto grader. So maybe they just do use the auto grader and that's your final grade. Which if that really is the case, I mean, I don't know. I heard lots of reviews of this course that the auto grader is kind of a pain in the ass, but I do think if this is the bar that they're setting and you really just have to make sure that you are outputting things, like your IO is correct and everything's of the right format, I feel like that's a pretty low bar. Granted, there have been some kind of precision requirements that I've heard are really, really tight, and that's, I think, especially on A2 versus A3. A2, that's where I lost a bunch of the points, is like the numbers weren't exactly what they were supposed to be, but I've never really been a, I got to get 100 out of 100 person, and so if I'm getting a 47 out of 50 anyway, what do I care, right? But yeah, got some grades back. They are incredibly slow about the grades, I have to say, which it doesn't really annoy me a ton. It would be nice, especially as the drop date approaches. Not that I think we're going to drop a class, but just, it's nice to know how you're doing. It gives a little bit of an air of like anxiety, right? Of like, I don't know how well I'm doing in this course quite yet. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do my best in the course overall, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So try not to think about it too much, but I can definitely tell other students get a little bit pissed about it. So understandably so. Yeah, that's basically it. Actually, when I finish up recording this vlog and posting it, I'm probably going to go watch the next set of lectures on video processing. I will say again, I've said this before in the vlog, that I think the lectures are really, really great. Especially in the HDR part, they showed a lot of really good examples. But my point is the lecture quality is really, really great. I think higher than kind of the quality of other forms of communication in the course. Interpret that how you will, like edX or whatnot. But yeah, I think the lectures are great. So I'm going to go watch the lectures now. Knuckle down on the assignment 5, I believe this is, video processing assignment, and then start prepping for project 2, and ultimately the final. We do have a final, but I think that's basically just a canned project like that you can do over the course of a week, so we'll see. But yeah, that's basically it. Just kind of business as usual with the class. I reviewed the project in my last episode, so check that out if you're interested. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time.